And good morning to everybody. It is once again Monday morning, 10 o'clock, same place, same time. We're here with the Dutch Mentor. Hi, I'm Walter. And it is our Monday morning chat about leadership. We had Andy scheduled for today, and we're all super excited to hear about his journey. But of course, we work in a very dynamic world of healthcare. You never know what's going to happen next. And he had an emergency he had to take care of this morning, preventing him from being here today. However, he is committed to coming back in the first or second week of October, at which time we will continue our conversation at that time. However, I know how passionate Andy is about continuous leadership development because that's how he ended up in the position that he's in today. So I thought it was extremely timely that I introduced to all of you the 70 20 10 learning module. It's one of my Learn to Learn series, but it's really insightful on how the adult brain is working today. And it is not the way we think it is working, and it is quite evident by the way we continue to teach our leaders in the organization by sending them to webinars and conferences and workshops, which is not the most effective way to learn. It is really about learning on the job and in a less structured way, more in a repetitive way. And the 70-20 model is really helpful to break that down. And I will give some concrete examples on how you, as a student of leadership, or you as a leader who's in a position to lead others, can take this model and help develop and set your team up for success. So I'm going to just click over here. You can always ask a question along the way. If you have any, if you would like to book a free consult, by all means, go to my website and be more than happy to help you at that time. So let's get the ball rolling over here. Let's see if we can get this onto the next slide, and we will, of course, that is. There we go. So the 70-20-10 framework is a learning and development reference model. And that wasn't just come up by, listen, somebody woke up on the right side of the bed and said, listen, this is the best, better way to go. But it really was well thought out and done, completed through deep research. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But the model is really about understanding that we are much better off by learning in an experimental way, by learning on the job while being supported by internal and external coaching and mentorship. Although we don't want to underestimate or understate the value of formal learning, and I truly believe in that as well. So I encourage all of my students and folks that I work with on a regular basis to continue on their path of getting their bachelor's and getting their master's degree. But it is more beyond that. And really, the word is that if you want to set up an individual development plan, and you want to take your career on a trajectory of success, however you define that, right? Whatever your big dream is, this model, the 70-20-10 model, is really helpful for you to be able to not only design your journey, but also to measure your journey along the way. But like anything else, it requires some work on your part, right? It is, you cannot, as a student of leadership, as a student in life, you cannot depend on others to do for you. You really have to take the bull by the horn and to grasp onto a concept and help drive this. So it is your role and responsibility to bring this to your leader if this is not an established way of doing a development in your organization. Of course, I'm here to help you and assist you. Again, you can book a free consult. Be more than happy to chat about this. And I'll talk about it later in the program, how I have adopted this model in the work that we do every day at the Dutch Mentor. So according to the 70-20-10 model, it is an effective professional development. It is that comes from learning, not training. Meaning that if you go to a workshop, and trust me, I love going to workshop because it's a real big social event. Right? We come together with a large group of people you might not always see, and suddenly we tend to be running past each other or going to meetings where chatter is limited. So from a bonding perspective, a workshop is fine. That's a great training opportunity. But from a learning retention perspective, it is not a great way. We know that we can invest tens of thousands of dollars. And I participated in $50,000 workshops who were phenomenal in the moment. By Monday morning, 70, 80, 90% of that learning was lost, was gone. And if you did a post workshop interview, you'll find that people would hang on to one or two key words or buzzwords. And they might translate that into the conversations that they have with their folks. But even putting those into action is very difficult because there is no follow up to that. Doing a workshop 4 times a year, is just not an effective way of learning for adults. It is more, but as in paramedic, I always say it's a drip rate, right? We want to keep it within that therapeutic index. Drip, drip, drip. We want to be consistent about how we provide learning opportunities. And the 70-20-10 model has been proven to be highly effective at that, right? And that came from the Center of Creative Leadership. So 70% of what we learn comes from a job-related experience. So if your desire is to go up 2 or 3 levels from where you are today, you can look up and wish you're going to be there. Or you can take an action and work collaboratively with your peers and with your bosses to see if you can get on-the-job experience in the current role. 20% is about developmental of relationships. We know that as you continue to, climb that career ladder, more and more of those positions are likely to be gained not by applying, but through your network, right? By having internal and external coaches and mentors. Think about it. There is not a single star athlete, I don't care what sport you talk about, that has gotten to the top without help, right? Coaching and mentorship is a requirement. It's a worthy investment into your future, certainly of time and certainly of money at times. And then 10% comes from formal learning and coursework. And we'll talk a little bit more about that and give you concrete examples of that. So let's cover here the 70% on the job related experience. What can you do, right? You can add new responsibilities to your current list. We can expand decision-making authorities, or what I call it is modeling. If you're not in a position to make a decision, the final decision, make a decision prior to going to your boss. See if you come up with the same decision as he or she does. Right? Work to build trust and competency that allows you to expand this decision-making authority, right? Shifting the authority from the owner to the performer. Increase the employee's management of others, especially those people who have been single contributors, who desire to go into people leading functions in the future. We have to create opportunities for them to be able to lead one or two others. Right? It is really important to learn to lead people. Include the employee in more senior leadership roles, leadership meetings. This is a very powerful way, right? This is a cheap opportunity. Get a back row seat at the board meetings or another senior level meeting so they can at least observe and see what is taking place, how decisions are being made. Right? Include employees in forecasting and budgeting. Again, part of our leadership academy, we talk about capital planning and budget planning. Too often, people are not included in this. This is a really great way for you to get a deeper understanding of your P&L management of your department or division. Right? Cross-functional involvement in projects. There's always process improvement projects take place across the healthcare stream, really in any company. Get engaged. If it is not your area of expertise, then at least be fresh eyes. Bring a new perspective. Help the team think outside of the box. It's a great way to do networking, right? Get to know more people, as well as get to understand how things function outside of your current roles or responsibilities. And then help, bring the employees into the hiring process itself is a great way of giving them exposure to what it takes to find the right person for the right role. Listen, there's an example list that goes on and on. The key thing is here to take meaningful action in order to give people the opportunity to continuously learn while in role, albeit 2 hours or 5 hours out of their work week. But it is your investment as a leader into the next level leader, right? It's creating hope and opportunity. So 20% of the time is the interaction with others, right? It's with individuals. It's a mentor or mentee relationships or reverse mentoring, right? You become the mentor. Make sure that you are committed to setting up regular coaching sessions. Introduce the employee to leaders outside of the organization or encourage people to come join Healthcare Leaders of New York or ACHI of New Jersey or ACHI of Miami or the other 50, 60 groups that are around the nation. It is important to be part of an association and interact with people on a regular basis, albeit digitally or going to physical in-person events or a combination thereof. Another thing is to conduct a regular 360, critical feedback session with people, both your family members, your friends, but your employee, the people who you work with and for, to get a deeper understanding who you are and as a person, right? What is my real me, perceived me, and my desired me? And then encourage peer-to-peer one-to-one meetings focused on reflection, not just a task, right? Have an opportunity to chat about things. Again, these are powerful examples on how you can interact with others to make it meaningful, part of your day that will help you gain insight and competency as a leader, certainly as a people leader. And the 10% is the formal events. And I'll give you a shameless plug over here, but it's an example on how we set up our programs at the Dutch Mentor. Right? Our mentorship program, the 16-week academy or the 7-week pure leadership program, is specifically designed to help with the behavior or understanding how the adult is learning. And I would encourage you to do the same thing is when you go out and find programs, don't go just a program where you sit in the classroom and learn. That's not the best way to convert it to long-term gain, right? The long-term actionable change in the work environment. Right? Our programs have weekly lectures, short, quick, to the point, right? In that 20-minute time frame where the adult learner can, consume. Much beyond that, things are lost, right? There's a heavy emphasis on cohort discussion and sharing experiences. Recommend books to your peers to read, things that you found insightful. We will have some focused quick workshops like 5S or individual development plan or learning to lead with love. We share videos and webinars. YouTube is a phenomenal resource to be able to dive a little deeper into a specific topic. Again, short micro learning opportunities. Daily ebooks and articles and sharing of tips. Of course, we have our weekly Monday morning chat about leadership. And then we have group meetings focused on business-related topics, or what we call is a peer networking group itself. And these are very, instrumental parts of formal education. Now, if you still work on your bachelor's, that could be your bachelor's. That could be your master's. But once you come out of it and you set yourself up for future success, it is very important to put things into action. And I find myself, that's where some of these formal programs like MBAs, MPHs, MBAs, MHAs come up short. Right? It is very good theory-based learning, but not practical-based learning. Again, our programs are designed exactly to convert that theory into practicum, to develop new habits and behaviors. So think about that for yourself when you design your plan on how you can optimize that by making sure that whatever you do is not another training session, but it is a deep learning session with meaningful metrics, measurable tasks that will help you drive change and performance. So what are the benefits of the 70-20-10? Well, it empowers the people to take care of their learning. Right? Again, as a leader, it's our responsibility to create hope and opportunity. This is a very good vehicle to do so. It encourages the sharing of learning and experiences. There's no more powerful way than having great discussion and sharing experiences, learning to relate to each other. Right? Recognize the role everybody can play in improving performance. Right? To make a puzzle, each one of you needs to bring that puzzle piece to the table. We need to draw on each other's strengths in order to make the best, drive the best outcomes for whoever your client is or your customer is. Allows people to learn in a way that works for them. So it is highly adjustable. It's individualized. Right? It is what works for you. Right? We're not a cookie cutter. Right? We're all very different from each other. It broadens the people's view of what learning is. It improves the development planning. Right? That IDP, the individual development plan, is not just a menu. It is really individualized to what it is that you need in the moment. What is it that you need to do to reach your big dream? And it moves the thinking forward, right? What can I do now? It's a little bit from JFK too, right? They said, don't ask what the country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. An individual development plan using the 70-20-10 technique is not about waiting for them to do it to you. If you're a student of leadership and you have a big goal of becoming a healthcare executive or an executive in a startup company or IT or engineering, don't wait for it to come to you. This is an opportunity for you to, take the bull by the horn and go after it. What can I do now? Right? How can I learn on the job? How can I learn from a coach and a mentor? How can I, what program should I join to improve my skills, knowledge, and abilities and my competencies? Right? But as leaders, this really helps develop a learning culture. And it's one of my pickles is that I've said a long time is that Joint Commission requires us to do annual performance evaluations. And that's exactly what they have become. Once a year, we dust them off, we check them out, we set goals, put them back on the shelf, we comply. A year later, we check it. Sometimes we make the goals, sometimes we don't make the goals. It's okay, we'll redo it again year after year. But we need to break that cycle. As leaders, it is our responsibility to create hope and opportunity, to encourage continuous development of self as well as of others. And that's where the 70-20-10 model really comes into play. I've utilized this model for over 10 years and it was highly successful and people felt greatly engaged by this. Right? They can learn how to drive this. If you don't trust me, just look on the screen. You certainly can recognize the big companies in the world: Dell, Philips, Nokia, Gap, Reuters. A lot of large companies have adopted this as a better way of providing development to their organizations. So to wrap it up, again, at the Dutch Mentor, we provide Leadership Academy and a Pure Leadership Power program for aspiring, emerging leaders. Right? My greatest passion is to work with people who are closing the gap between doing and leading. And those are likely the supervisors, the managers, the directors, even up to the AVP level. Of course, we provide executive coaching to the senior staff as well, but this is really where we find the gap. Too many leaders lead well below their privilege. Why? Because they don't have the skills, knowledge, and abilities to lead with competency, to lead with empathy, to lead with great character. They need the additional support and insight on where they lead from today. What is a desired place they want to lead from? How to close the gap between where I am today and where I want to be in the future. And that's what we'll learn in the 16-week program in the academy itself. We'll talk about people leading skills. We'll talk about solving problems at root causes. We'll talk about how to operationalize your team and set a rhythm into place with meaningful metrics and great cadence of accountability. Again, a 16-week investment is made for the simple fact that it takes time to develop these deep habits and behaviors. All of it is supported by weekly one-to-one coaching, right? That's 70-20-10. Everything you learn goes immediately into experimental learning on the job, supported by the coaching, and then some formal structured learning on a weekly basis. Our second program, the shorter of the two programs, is a 6-week or really a 7-week program, because on the 7th week, you have an opportunity to do an executive presentation, is focused just on the people leading skills. Right? It is same as the first 6 weeks of the academy. Both are very powerful ways to get started, to take that first initiative and take that step. As executive leaders, I would encourage you to do this with your team. Sign them up, give them hope and opportunity, develop their skills, knowledge, and abilities. And it really will help you drive performance in the organization itself. So with that said, if you have any questions at all, again, thank you for paying attention today. Andy will be back in the first or second week of October. as we continue our series in September. We have 4 phenomenal speakers coming up with really interesting stories. But we always have a backup plan because, again, in healthcare, we never know what we'll run into, and we can be an emergency can happen at any time. If you would like to visit me at the on my website, thedutchmentor.com, you can sign up for a free consult, or you can always just call or text me on 646-208-5217 and live by the rule 70-20-10. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and we'll talk soon again.